Hear ye, inhabitants of Corinus. By the explicit order of the Honorable Lord Hagen, the following decree is hereby enacted.
Damn.
From this moment onward,
Guess I better lay off that stuff.
Andre will take the
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Morgan, and bid you all welcome back to Gothic II. Last episode, we took a run around with Lares and met some old faces. Some old faces who really wanted to see us dead. Luckily, cooler heads have prevailed, and we are still alive and in one piece. One of the things I wanted to mention last episode, which I actually had a whole bit recorded for and completely forgot to even bring it up, was if you were to take this map that we get from Nefarious and bring it to Skip before you ever meet him, he asks if you have a map that he can draw on to show you where Dexter's hideout is. If you offer him that map as opposed to the unaltered one from Brahim, he actually has a little bit of different dialogue for it, which is interesting.
Have you got a decent map?
I've got a map right here.
But someone scribbled all over it already. So where's the fun in messing it up for you? Then I guess I'll have to give you a description. There's a very big farm far to the east. The farmer's name is Onar, I think. He's got some fairly large fields. To the south of those fields, there's a small fortress on a high cliff. That's where you'll find your man. I remember his name now. Dexter. Yes, I think they called him Dexter.
Really?
So, assuming I just plugged that in there, let's move on. Now, if you wanted to, you could take this teleport to go relatively where we're trying to go, but instead I'm going to run this way to really mostly make sure that we don't miss Errol on our way back, because on our path previously we got the rest of the stone tablets, really the only one extra that we needed to complete his little side quest to open him up as a merchant. Now, the interesting thing about merchants added by the expansion, the Night of the Raven expansion, is that they're the only merchants in the game, as far as I'm aware, whose inventories never expand in later chapters. There actually, that might be a lie. There may be a couple whose just kind of have set-in-stone inventories, but his definitely does not change, and he actually has some pretty, somewhat, sort of high-level stuff. Stop squawking, you're dead. He has some somewhat sort of high-level stuff that might be useful to some people. I think he has an amulet that increases your hit points, for example. At this point, hit points aren't a huge concern of ours, so I'm not really that fussed about that, but I don't really remember anything else he carries, so we'll see if it's anything useful. But more importantly, I suppose, if you're of a melee combat persuasion, he actually does make good on his offer to teach you how to hit harder, in that he offers you some free points in strength. Now, as we've discussed more than once, mole rats are an interesting beast in this game because their AI is real shit, and they often don't tend to close the gap when you stand in certain places. Which means we can just stand here pelting them full of arrows to our heart's content. One thing that annoys me about it is when we're doing it in this cave here. Oh my god. Whatever. We still trade the hits better than they do. For some reason, the collision with the camera in this cave does not work all that well. This is the only cave I'm aware of that is as small as this. Left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, left. There's your combination, folks. This is the only cave I'm aware of that is as small as this. The rest of them are much bigger, so I think that's why this one has so many problems with camera collision and stuff like that. You'll notice this chest here,
this open without the right key.
Which actually requires the right key. This is one of a couple chests in this game that are actually faction dependent, believe it or not. There's no reason why this one should be, but it is. There's actually a character later on who gives us a quest a quest that is available to any and all factions, but his reward for mages is unique. And as such, we are the only ones who have access to that chest. There's another chest in the game, only one that I can think of, that is unique to mages as well. But that one actually contains the same item now that I think about it. But we'll touch on that when we cross that bridge.
About those stone tablets, I've got some.
Thank you. That's enough. Now I could keep my promise to the water mage in town and then go home at last. I'll pay you for them, of course. I'm going home now. Come with me if you like. Maybe I can sell you a few things that might interest you when we get there.
I wish you would do more than sell them to me, considering I think the effort I went through for each of these is worth more than 10 gold. Oh, but what do I know? I'm no appraiser. Follow him if you like. But he is somebody we'll encounter later on with there's no real hurry. So you'll notice, strangely, that more scavengers have moved in since we passed through here with Lares. I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know what triggers all these to spawn, and if they spawn regardless of whether or not we've been through here with Lares. It's possible that... I don't know, it's possible that something triggers them to spawn after we've been through here once. You'll notice this right here. I've noticed this right here. I always forget about this right here. Let's kick his ass. So, I think this presents a prime opportunity, and yes, I did plan this ahead of time. To show off what I was trying to show with the scavenger AI previously. Now, when I say scavenger AI, I don't just mean the scavengers as they are so named, but certain creatures with the scavenger AI, such as, well, giant rats, for example. So what I'm going to demonstrate here is how, if you are chased by certain scavenger-type creatures that are too tough for you, you can lead them past the corpse of another creature, and they will instead turn around and choose to eat that instead of pursuing you. Now, as I said before, if you damage them in any way, then they become truly hostile and they will continue to pursue you. But that does not hold true for their friends, who will continue to ignore you in favor of the free meal. But, as stated, the ones that you have damaged will continue to chase you. Because once they are damaged, they are permanently hostile, and they are not so easily deceived. But you'll notice that somehow the arrow that we shot that one scavenger with did way more damage than it did to the mole rat. That's because scavengers are uniquely vulnerable to arrows, whereas mole rats really are not. So, I don't know. Let's take a look. I'm curious. We're going to just cheat a little bit, because I'm curious what's going on here. So, scavengers have no protection against projectiles whatsoever, and they have 70 hit points. So I believe with a short bow... I'm not sure, because a short bow is only supposed to do 10 damage. I'm trying to remember the damage calculation, how it works with bows. If they have 70 health and we kill them 3 hits, that means we're doing at least 25 damage a hit. As far as I know, it's supposed to be our dexterity plus our bow damage minus their resistance. Or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to pull up the bow damage calculation on the screen. I never remember that because I almost never use bows for any reason. Oh, the mole rats are gone, so I have no idea what their resistance is. If I were Koshmar, I would be pulling up all the creature cards on the screen as we encounter them. But I'm not quite that dedicated to the walkthrough, apparently. I appear to have vanished. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a scavenger for the rest of the game. So, let's get on with that, I guess. I want to talk with you. Ladies and gentlemen, game over. This walkthrough is finished. I'm not fucking around. Let's get back to business. So anyway, that's how Scavenger AI works, if you're interested in that. I don't remember all the creatures that applies to, but scavengers and large rats, at least, will behave like that. But the difference is, scavengers, unlike large rats, will not eat their own kind. So you cannot leave a scavenger, a real scavenger, past the corpse of another scavenger. However, you can lead a large rat past the corpse of another large rat, or even kill one right in front of its face, and it will behave just the same. I love the way they snarl at you. I guess the issue with large rats is that something about their movement animation seems to make them notice you, senpai, more frequently than scavengers, who have a tendency to just turn around and run straight for the corpse that they want to eat. So giant rats, for some reason, are a little more fussy to try and distract. But at the same time, they're also very easy to defeat. So it's not a real concern. Owie! And rat meat is apparently equivalently delicious to any other meat. I always found it funny, games like this that stack all kinds of meat exactly the same as any other. But then I play a game like Morrowind, where all the meats are different and have different properties and different restorative effects, and I realize, you know what, that's really annoying. I kind of like it when a game decides meat is meat, what's the difference? So I'm trying to think of what other creatures have that scavenger AI, and I really don't think there are any other ones besides scavengers and giant rats. I don't believe snappers act that way. Mine crawlers might act that way. And in turn, so might giant mantids that we are not going to encounter for some time. I don't know, I'll have to play around with it to really see what the full range of dumb monsters really is.
Hey.
Well, here's a swagalicious fellow.
What can I do for you, wanderer?
Can you touch my coin purse?
Where will this path take me?
The path leads to the Monastery of the Magicians of Fire. However, access is permitted only to the servants of Innas. If you want to be accepted as a novice in the monastery, you must bring a sheep and
1,000 gold pieces.
That's a lot of gold and one whole sheep.
What are you doing here?
I am a magician of fire, a priest of our god, Innas. This shrine is consecrated to him, the highest god, the creator of the fire and lord of justice. People come to me in order to pray to Innas and be blessed. And for a small donation, you can get many useful things from me.
A small donation, aka the MSRP of all these wares. Which he has a handful of scrolls and some potions and assorted garbage. I suppose this ring might be useful to some of you, but not to me. So he offers you blessings, as far as I can tell, and as far as anybody's ever revealed to me.
Bless me.
I bless you in the name of Innos. May the Lord's fire burn in your heart and give you the strength to act according to his justice.
As far as I'm aware, that blessing offers you no tangible benefits in any conceivable way. So if only the vaguest implications of divine assistance is enough to encourage you, then by all means, stop at this fellow for your daily blessing. But so far as I can tell, it offers you really no assistance in any way. Owie. As a matter of fact, there's more than one NPC in this game who offers you blessings. I don't think any of them actually do you much any good. As a matter of fact, what's his name? Vatras. He offers you blessings that don't really do much of anything, but he also offers to actually legitimately heal you. Which is something nobody from Innos really seems to offer. I don't know, man. We're counting our blessings, not comparing them, I guess. Bagok. I'm not really sure why I came this way. There's really not much for us to do here at this moment in time. But I guess there's some stuff to collect. Mostly stuff that we cannot use. As we head up this way, what many of you will surely notice are some small plants to either side of this bridge, some fire nettles. I am specifically not going to grab these, because I'm going to make a point about those later, specifically that an NPC offers us some assistance regarding those things. That is 100% useless. And I really want to prove a point when we come across that later, so I'm leaving those be for now.
Welcome to the Monastery of Innos, stranger. I am Brother Pedro, a humble servant of Innos and the warder of the gate to the Holy Monastery. What is it you require?
Tell me about life in the monastery.
We live in the monastery in order to serve Innos. We novices perform the work and study the scriptures when we have the opportunity. The magicians watch over us, and they explore the arts of magic.
I want to enter the monastery.
Only the servants of Innos are allowed to enter the monastery. If you want to pray to Innos, go find one of the roadside shrines. You will find the tranquility to pray there.
Will I find the tranquility? Because they're often surrounded by beasts.
What do I have to do to be accepted in the monastery?
If you want to be accepted into the Brotherhood of Innos, you must learn and obey the rules of the monastery. Also, we demand the gifts to Innos from each new novice. A sheep and 1,000 gold pieces.
Now, that's a whole lot of gold.
It is a sign that you are beginning a new life as a servant of Innos. When you are accepted, you will be forgiven all your previous transgressions. And consider, you cannot take back the decision to become a servant of Innos.
I can't take back the decision to give you that much fucking gold either.
What are the rules you live by?
Innos is the god of truth and justice, and thus we may never lie or commit a crime. Should you transgress against a brother of the community or steal our property, you will pay a penalty for it. Innos is also the god of law and fire. As a novice, you must show obedience and respect to all magicians of fire.
I see.
Furthermore, it is the duty of a novice to carry out all the work in the monastery for the good of the community. If you are prepared to follow these rules and have the offering to Innos, we are willing to accept you into our monastery as a novice.
So they say you must never lie or commit a crime. That really only applies within the walls of this monastery, as we will demonstrate later in life.
I want to become a novice.
You did not bring the required offering with you.
Well, who's counting? Well, unfortunately we can't get into the monastery just yet, but using our satellite view, we can get a look at really what's going on here, which ain't a whole lot. There's a gentleman on the left, hooking up with some sheep. Some guys raking leaves on the right. And a bunch of people standing around. Really looks like the hot place to be. But we'll gain membership to that exclusive scene in due time. Until then, I actually realize I just looked at my notes, and I meant to go in a completely different direction to start this episode off. So I suppose we'll end the episode with that instead. Regardless, if you were to have taken the the teleport that we came through at the end of the last episode. If you were to have gone back through that, that would have taken you to a location near to this tavern that we just passed by. We also passed by it when we were on the road with Lares last time. I specifically chose not to take that just because I wanted to make sure we passed by Errol in the first place and really got a look at the approach to this location. Since we were in a bit of a hurry last time, we really didn't take the opportunity to stop and look around. There's a gentleman sitting on the bench here. We'll talk to him after I pick this plant.
Look who's just turned up. The farmer boy. You're just in time.
So, a very interesting thing about this character is that his opening line is the same no matter what circumstance you meet him in. You meet him here with. If you had never encountered him, if somehow you managed to dodge him on your way to the city, he would still say, "Look who just turned up," but then he would skip the entire next line. If you failed to help him outside that gate, he would say, "Look who just turned up," and then, honestly, I forget what his next line was, but basically to talk about how you were useless. But because we actually helped him get into the city, and there's only one way to do that, he calls us the farmer boy.
Who are you anyway?
That's none of your business. If I wanted to tell you who I am, I'd have done it already. Got it?
Well, you demanded a lot of help from us, considering you refused to really acquaint yourself with us whatsoever.
What do you want from me? Are you still having problems with the city guards?
I'll give you problems, you punk. I'm looking for a fellow. He isn't anywhere to be found in the city, and these losers here don't have a clue either. He's thin, dark-haired, and he usually wears red armor. As far as I know, he used to be a prisoner in the colony. I think his name starts with a D.
So we have three options here. We can feign ignorance. We actually know or have a good idea who it might be. We can bring up an old acquaintance of ours, and he doesn't know the difference.
You're talking about Diego.
It could be that that's his name. I'm not sure. I'll probably only know when I see him.
Anything else?
Yeah, you big mouth. Is there something else?
I asked you first.
Weapons, I need provisions, and gold wouldn't be bad either.
Gold? We all want gold.
Could be. And what would you do with it? Drink your way through it in the tavern, or blow it in the brothel if I'm any judge.
And you
what
have
other
better
ways there to
plans,
spend
huh?
it?
You would crawl under a rock if you knew all I've done. So none of that cheek, or I'll shut your big mouth for you.
You know, you keep asking us for help, and yet you also keep threatening our very health and safety.
Didn't you find a weapons dealer in the city?
You can't be serious. They only have junk.
Weapons? The mercenaries have weapons.
Ah, interesting. I heard that the fat farmer Onar had hired the boys. Not too bad for a landlubber. Not a bad idea, but I really should pay them a visit.
Interesting that we can bring them up, considering we hardly know anything about them. We haven't even really encountered them yet, other than those two on Ekiel's farm who we laid waste to. By we, I mean somebody else did.
Provisions? You're in a tavern.
The stupid barman won't hand anything over unless you pay him for it.
Somebody wants payment for their goods? Are you mad? So, very important, if you say you can't help him, he takes that very seriously. He walks away and does not offer you any quest ever again. Or at least until, later chapters. You have to be pedantic and offer him something.
Here's 10 gold coins.
You poor sucker. You can keep your dough. I have a better idea. There's a cave not far from here. I've been around here before, and I buried my stuff in a few places. The cave is too dangerous for me alone. I want you to help me with it.
Let's visit the cave.
Come with me.
Alright, we're in it. Off he goes. So, the interesting thing about Greg is he's one of the few characters who leads you somewhere, who does not actually stop on the way if you fall behind. He just keeps going. And he also does not offer you any XP for the things he kills. So he's gonna kill these wolves. I'm not really gonna fight him for it.
There's another of those. Oh.
So whatever. He gets the 120 XP for that.
Around.
And my god, that fog is oppressive. I gotta remember what the hell the codes are to release that. Clipping factors, Z-set fog. So this is what you need to use. If you want to unlock the view distance, there are numerous codes to do that, or you can probably do it in the INI file. This is the easiest way to do it. Once you have Marvin mode enabled, Z fog zone, I'm pretty sure I already have that. Set clipping factor. You can set this anywhere between 0 and 10. So we're doing 10. And Z set Vob Farscaler will also do 10, even though I don't think that makes a difference. But anyway, that's how you can get the furthest view distance without the DirectX 11 mod, which we're not using because it breaks everything. Anyway, so he led us here, and as I said, he will go here on his own and pretty much wait here. The problem is, if you do not do this, as I learned the last time I attempted to do a walkthrough for this game, if you do not do this quest as soon as he leads you here, you fuck it up.
Alright, friend. Here's the cave. And here's a pick for you. I buried the stuff somewhere in there. X marks the spot. What are you waiting for? Go inside and get the stuff.
What about you, then?
Someone has to guard our backs. And now, in you go.
And of course, it has to be you. So, if you were... Oh my god, it broke. What the hell was it? I don't know why that broke during that dialogue. Hopefully that stays the same. Otherwise, I have to do that every single time we have a dialogue. So, as I learned in the last walkthrough, or attempted walkthrough, about 7 or 8 years ago, if you were to leave now and come back here, Greg would basically ask you what the hell's going on, and you would tell them that you didn't find anything. The weird thing about that is he clearly saw that you never set foot in the cave when you do that, but it's a matter of if you just take too long, this quest fails.
What took you so long? Found anything yet?
No.
Damn it, I knew it. Those vultures were faster than me. Again. Oh, well, never mind, kiddo.
Oh, fuck. So, we have to head inside and take care of this now, otherwise we're in big trouble. Luckily, all that's really here is a matter of goblins. The difference is, there are some goblins here that are a bit tougher than ones we've encountered before. Specifically, there are some black goblins. And black goblins are somewhat of a force to be reckoned with. Let's try to take them out. Okay, that didn't work. Take one out with that. Unfortunately, the other one took the bullet for him. So we've lost that spell scroll. However, this black goblin has a valuable statue of Innos. We remember a very specific preacher of Innos in town who apparently lost one of those to a troop of goblins that might be related to the ones we encountered here. So we'll bring that back to him in due time. Now, if you were to just step out, I originally thought that if you tried to step out of this cave too early, that would be the issue that leads to Greg.
What are you waiting?
Okay, so apparently that happens every time. I gotta find what in the INI file takes care of that permanently, because that's really frustrating. But originally I thought that if you tried to leave the cave, that was what set Greg off and failed the quest for you. But evidently that's not the case. It's just a matter of if you leave and just take too damn long. So we have to make sure that we don't do that. So So goblins are quite annoying because as soon as one gets angry at you, no matter how far away the rest of them are, they all come after you. If you're legitimately having trouble with them, you can lead them back outside and Greg will take care of them. But you should be okay if you mainly focus on the black goblin, because he does the most damage. But there is more than one black goblin. We're in real trouble here. Holy shit. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm gonna die here. I actually died. I can't believe that. I'm so ashamed of myself. We will never speak of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to take care of these goblins quite easily, well, we've accumulated a mass of spell scrolls that should make this a bit easier. Let's focus on the black goblins, seeing as they do the most damage. Of course, it switched it, but that's fine. These three greenish goblins, much easier to deal with than the multitude of black goblins. Well, as long as you are dispatched, I am not afeared of anything. Alrighty then. So here's the X that marks the spot as Greg mentioned. Doesn't highlight, so as long as you see one and face it, you can interact with it. However, you require a pickaxe to actually dig it up.
I think I've found something.
How exactly a pointy pickaxe deals with some loose dirt in the ground, I don't know, but whatever, we got what we needed. Now, if you were to try and pocket this gold and not give it to Greg, it would pretty much cancel out the rest of the quests he offers you on this part of the island. So I don't recommend it, because you are going to get essentially a slightly larger reward, as a matter of fact, in exchange for doing a bit more legwork. I don't know why I did that, because I'm about to save, and which means I'm about to do it again. So yeah, I have to find the config option that does exactly that. What else I'm going to do, just so it's a bit easier to see, I'm going to set it to daylight. So long, the rest of you. So yeah, I apologize for the use of cheats a little bit here, but it's all for your convenience, I assure you. So what we have, or what we acquired from that, had I opened one already, is a leather bag with a few gold coins. 25 gold coins to be precise. Oh my god, okay, so it's every time you open a damn menu, apparently. You'll notice Greg has changed his clothes a bit more to what we saw him wearing the first time we met him. So if you refuse to tell him, you can play dumb and act like you didn't find anything. Which means you get to pocket that 25 gold that you found, you high roller you. But it's better off to give it to him, because then he offers us... Well, in reality, you can get all the stuff anyway, but for quest completion's sake, we're gonna hand it over.
Yes, I dug up a small bag of gold.
Give it here.
Here you are.
Great, so they're still there. You're not all that useless after all. Okay, listen. I've buried even more, and I want you to get it for me. Let's see. There's an islet in the small lake with the two waterfalls. One of my caches should be there. There are 2 more spots where I buried something further up, in the high pastures. One spot is behind the farm up there, and the other one's next to the entrance to the pass by the waterfalls. There are stairs leading down from the fields of the farmer up there to those of the landowner. There's another cache in the hollow where the stairs end. I'll wait for you at the crossroads by the landowner's fields. Don't fail me, you'll regret that, Buster.
You haven't even paid us yet, for Christ's sake. So basically, the reason I choose to do all the quests as opposed to try and pocket all the rewards is simply that gold can be acquired at any time in any way, but XP, once you lose it, you never get it back. So I'd rather complete the quests and acquire the gold through other means, because you can find more than enough gold in this game. Anyway, so here's that tavern that we heard so much about, the Dead Harpy. Something gives me the impression that I should bear the sign of the ring while we enter this place. I feel like that'll be important. God damn it.
That doesn't surprise me. No idea, you tell me.
Who are you?
I'm Orlan, the keeper of this here modest tavern. What are you looking for, stranger? Maybe a decent sword, or a good piece of armor? A good swig from the country stills, or just some information? I can give you all that and more if your coins ring.
My coins don't ring, they're not telephones. Seems interesting that a tavern owner sells weapons and armor, however.
Am I being paranoid, or are you staring at my ring?
Well, I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
What to make of that is that he is obviously a member of the Ring of Water, and he has noticed that you bear the insignia. So, if you were to just blab out your allegiance, or intended allegiance,
There's nothing you can do about it.
he basically calls you a moron. I'll plug that a little bit in here. However, if you were to be a bit more coy about it, you actually get a little bit of XP in order, reward for kind of obscuring your loyalties a bit.
It's an aquamarine. Ever seen one before?
Yes, I have. Well, welcome to headquarters, brother of the ring. What can I do for you?
Because nobody else on Earth would have ever considered making a ring out of an aquamarine.
Well, I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
That's not what I heard.
Man, I belong to the Ring of Water.
Do you now?
Believe me.
Hard to believe they'd pick such a moron. What do you want?
Listen to the wrong people.
Do you know that fellow with the eye patch?
I've seen him here before.
Nobody will learn.
Nasty piece of work. Back then, he moved into one of my upstairs rooms, along with a huge crate.
Nothing.
He had to be constantly nagged about paying the rent for his room. And even then, he took his own sweet time about it. Then, one day, he vanished, just like that, along with the crate. I don't want anything to do with the likes of him.
There's nothing you can do.
Alright, well, off he's gone, so...
How much do you charge for a room?
For a brother of the ring? Nothing.
Here's the key to the upper rooms. You pick one for yourself.
So that is a lucky bonus that we get as a reward for having the expansion, because the Ring of Water does not exist without the Night of the Raven expansion, and he charges 50 gold, I believe, a week
I'm staying out of it.
in exchange for being able to rent a room. Once you've asked to rent a room, he demands that every week, otherwise he gives you shit. Regardless of whether or not you actually stay there, and you can never say, I don't want to rent a room this week. It's really annoying.
No idea, you tell me.
And if you basically, once you've committed to renting a room, you have to rent it every damn week. Otherwise, if you show up and haven't paid for it, he's gonna try and beat you up for the rent money.
There's nothing you can do about it.
So, luckily, as long as we demonstrate our insignia to
You never would have thought
the Ring of Water, he offers it to us for free. However, I think once we start paying for it, it kind of screws that up. So be warned, wear the ring when you first talk to this fellow, otherwise you're going to have problems.
Nobody will learn.
Have you ever used a teleporter stone?
Are you out of your mind?
secret.
As long as none of the water mages swear to me that there's no danger, I'm not going anywhere near those things. They ordered me to hide one of those teleporter stones, and well, apart from that, I'm staying well away from them.
Where is this teleporter stone?
There's a cave to the south, not far from my tavern. That's where the water mages found one of those things.
Can I have a look at this teleporter stone?
I don't care. Here's the key. No, I've blocked the entrance.
You've really done good work hiding it then, considering you're offering the key to anybody who asks.
What kind of armor can you offer me?
I have here a very nice piece that is sure to please you.
Sure to please me? Well, I'm already wearing it, so what's the point?
About it.
As you like, but don't wait too long.
Who cares? If it grows legs and walks off, I'm already wearing one just the same.
How's it going with your tavern?
Times have been better, you know? People's purses aren't as open as they used to be.
Well, what a shame. It seems like people have got better things to spend their money on. Like sustenance and shelter and basic life essentials.
That's no secret.
So, if you were too lazy to do Bosphorus quest and get wolfskins on your own time, here are a couple that you can filch.
I'm not telling you anything new.
But as I've stated before, I think it's more than worth it to learn that skill, regardless of whether or not you join Bospor. Why don't we take a look at this teleporter stone? We head in a general this way direction. So basically, there's a tavern there. If you head, I think he said south? This is generally south. But if you see this road going between these two rocks here, just stick to the right and go along the wall. You'll see some mole rats there. But basically, there's a cave here with a locked door. Make sure you hit the one with the door and not the one that is wide open, because that one will lead you to some serious dangers that we're going to avoid for now. There's a stone tablet in here, as well as a potion, and a leather satchel, and a bloodfly stinger. Whatever you do, do not drink this right away. It contains a poisonous secretion. Where's it gone? Tastes bitter and poisonous. I guess it really didn't do much of anything. I've never actually eaten that when it was poisonous. I thought it did more than what it did. 166. 165. It literally does 1 point of damage. When you call that poisonous, I'm pretty sure I lose 1 hit point just by breathing. Anyway, so we've proven that the teleports work. We might as well check in with Murdarian, since he had some serious hesitations about it.
Hey! The teleporter stones seem to work nicely.
You actually did it? You really went in?
I sure did.
They obviously still work.
Unbelievable. I have to look at this more closely later.
You must indeed. Well then. So with that taken care of, we now have a new hideout at the tavern. We have a new merchant with Errol whenever we come across him again. We have a new quest with Greg whenever we feel like doing his legwork for him. But otherwise, I feel like we've learned enough. It might be time to check back in with Zardos. So maybe we should head in that direction. You'll notice as we come along this campsite here that Kavlorn has moved on, but meanwhile this bandit is still hanging around here.
Is there anything else that might interest me?
I've told you everything I can.
So as I stated before, if we watch this bandit as he moves onto this campsite, and Kavlorn is still here, Kavlorn will actually kill him. Because they are still hostile with each other. and Kevlarn was not there in the original script that made sure that the bandit moved on to this point. So, making sure Kevlarn moves on before we encounter that bandit here is important to make sure that he stays alive. Essentially, Kevlarn moves on once we meet with the water mages in the ruins. So that is the point where it's safe to come back this way, and that is why I postponed this bit for so long. Not really that important, because nothing that happens here is really time sensitive. But it is important to make sure that you don't forget it, because once you reach chapter 2, I think, or maybe it's just chapter 3, you don't really get this opportunity again. Lester, meanwhile, has moved on to Zardos' tower, as we suggested.
What's up?
The thing with the plants for Constantino worked like a charm. It got me past the city guards.
Just like I said. You should listen to me once in a while, my friend.
I have listened to you plenty of times.
Are you still exhausted?
And how? I told Zardos everything. Now I'm going to sleep for a while. Like 1 or 2 days, or longer.
I've always been amused by the subtitles there, because just the way they were broken up were completely different to the way the dialogue, like the actual spoken dialogue, was broken up. And somehow that is just so hilarious to me.
Hey, you! Have you talked to Lester yet?
Yes, I have peppered him with questions. He was able to tell me a lot, but he is completely exhausted. It's almost a miracle that he survived this escape at all. I have sent him to bed for now.
What did he tell you?
Nothing good, I'm afraid. He has seen not only a dragon, but also men in black, hooded cloaks.
And?
If these men exist, then their presence will pose a possible threat.
You don't say.
Like that. Here, take my ring. It will protect you against magic.
Well, what a nice ring. So this is a bit of dialogue that I missed many, many times when I first played this game, because I never came back here afterwards. It should be an obvious thing that you should come back to see Zardos once in a while, considering he's the one who sets you out on your path. But typical RPG progression tells me that once we've kind of left the opening area, there's really not much to see until the plot demands that we come back here. But if you don't come back here until chapter 3, which is kind of where things take a turn for the worse, then you completely miss out on this bit.
The water mages have discovered a portal to an unknown part of the island.
Interesting. As soon as you find out something that is really helpful, be sure to let me know. The artifact of Beliar could be hidden somewhere there. Find it.
You're suggesting that what we just told you was not in fact helpful, which I find facetious.
About that unknown part of the island.
Don't bother me with details. Come back if you really find anything useful.
So this is basically telling you that the whole expansion is kind of shoehorned in a way. To be fair, I give the Night of the Raven expansion a lot of credit for the fact that it has cohesion with the rest of the game in a way that a lot of video game expansions at the time did not have. There are games like Neverwinter Nights where the expansions were completely separately removed modules from the main game. And then there are games like the expansion for Morrowind, which were essentially, they were integrated in the main game, but had like no overlap. They were completely separate areas that you just navigated to. This game actually tried to have some kind of overlap, but they really couldn't patch together all the seams the way you would really expect them to. Which is unfortunate because, as we're going to see, there are a lot of ways in which those gaps really kind of show the flaws of how they tried to piece both the game and the expansion together.
I've been to town.
And? Were you able to talk to the leader of the Paladins?
Well, they won't let me see him.
Nonsense. There must be a way for you to see him. If all else fails, enter the monastery and become a magician. That might be considered morally questionable, but it would get you what you need. If you were a magician, he would certainly have to see you.
So it's kind of funny that he suggests you do that, when in reality, the easiest way to see the paladins is just to become a member of the militia. And that, becoming a member of the militia can pretty much happen almost as soon as you enter the city. Joining any other faction requires you not only to venture outside the city, but to accomplish a hell of a lot once you're out there. So really, becoming a militia member is the easiest way to ensure that Lord Hagen and the Paladins will see you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll do it for tonight. Next episode, I suppose we'll get into some more shit. I'll decide what we're doing then, when we get to it. Until then, thank you all kindly for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch or subscribe to my stream archive channel. Links in the description below. And if you're interested in any of the unscripted live stream shenanigans, follow me on Twitter as well for announcements on various meaningless things. Until next time, have yourselves a wonderful night.